I often walk for hours on end, sometimes by the ocean or in the unnamed streets around where I live. So much of what I see calls out. A mountain keeping watch. The curling lip of a stone pilgrim, smiling in spite of an exceptionally heavy hat. Pigeons with clubbed feet. A bathhouse full of unnamed men. A hat keeping watch. A pilgrim with clubbed feet. The curling peel of a stone orange. A pilgrim with stone feet. A bathhouse full of pigeons, lips curling in spite of an exceptionally clubbed foot. I love the feeling of hot soup down my throat, finishing all but the last bit of broth before I've really started on the noodles. Dense, alkaline noodles. Chewy, slick, having soaked up a healthy amount of that soup. Spring onions and chili spiked bean sprouts. Wood ear mushrooms. Salt. Fat. Bones. Striped level crossing poles and their two loud warning bells. Pots of toothpicks. What about dirtier things? Disgusting starchy floors behind the counters in a noodle shop. The public burps and grunts of 40-year-old children who were never told they were annoying. The same unnamed men in my bathhouse. The same pigeons with stone hats and clubbed feet. The same mountains with orange peel foothills. Old people are more visible here. They walk, hunched over, an inch an hour around town. They stand in the cold, bundled up and paid peanuts to hold signs that say dismount. Push your bike here. They wear the same grey, tattered, non-woven surgical mask they put on the day COVID-19 landed at Narita Airport and got the Skyliner Express train into Shinjuku. This whole country is growing old. Maybe soon the last tourists will depart from Kyoto Station. Not much to see here anymore, they'll say. Just overgrown, yellowed toenails and flaccid cocks. By the time the streetlights in Gion have gone out and a new day has begun, they'll all be in Kyrgyzstan drinking something gut-positive. I do miss home sometimes. I miss the feeling of talking to someone and being understood, of talking to someone and sharing something of myself. I miss talking to someone. I miss talking to someone. Speaking here is like an exercise in self-restraint, of getting further and further from your point of view and being powerless to do anything but get further and further from your point of view. Might as well get further and further from that conversation and closer to those orange foothills. Walking here is fascinating. My favorite time of year is the repulsively hot summer. The rainy season saturates the earth and fills the rivers and the world becomes green. Endless green. Wily kudzu climbs buildings, trees, abandoned cars. Birds cry out from the green. There's one that sounds like dripping water, but electric, like the sound of pure energy. Birds. Wow, I never remember being so totally into birds. You can actually hear the green. You can smell the green. The air feels heavy and the sound that fills it seems slow and muffled. The green feels green, if that makes sense. Walking through all of this is like an exercise in birdsong. On these occasions, I often find myself down a path I've never found previously, or one I thought was private or looked scary. On these occasions, I often find abandoned buildings. Some that could be houses. Others I assume were storehouses or sheds for citrus farmers or kiwi farmers or some other farmer. The green has overtaken each and every one of them. Windows lack panes and corrugated iron roofs bloom in red-orange, great explosions of Japanese knotweed springing forth from cracks and gaps. I wonder what these buildings were like in life. Here's a crossroads. One path looking like it skirts around the hill and back into the valley where people grow their vegetables. One path a straight shot ahead, up past a reservoir and into the mountains behind. It being late September, still bright and stuffy hot. The rains have been gone a while, but the green hasn't changed much. The leaves and grass and trees have lost the glow of new growth, but are green nonetheless. What has changed is the rice. Soft, pale, luminescent shoots have grown tall, filled with heavy, grainful ears and stooped over. The sun of the early evening makes this a homecoming green, a green you see in old photos. This is a road, but no one has driven up it for a long time. There are fallen stalks of bamboo and long moss-crusted branches crossing the road. Whole sections of branches are becoming powder, eaten from the inside out by bugs. Halfway through a conversation with myself, I can see things opening up. There's the reservoir again. A little further and the green is absolute once more. Powdery bugs and green bugs cross the road and their heavy, grainful ears are stooping over. The bamboo stalks are stooping over. The branches are stooping over and the door closes behind me. You see, what there is now is a thick and soft smell of rotting flesh. Soft like an apple so far gone it collapses straight inwards under a finger. Maggoty soft. What is that? My brain keeps recreating the stinking image of that putrid, diseased boar god from Princess Mononoke, pelt teeming with dark, quivering parasites. The further I walk up that path, the stronger the smell gets, filling my lungs and coating the insides of my nostrils with that disgusting, rancid boar god smell. Thick and rancid, disgusting and horrid oily maggoty smell with sourness that makes your lips curl and your tongue retreat back into your mouth. So rancid it feels dangerous to breathe in. Just a month ago, a former Board of Education superintendent's decaying body was found a few meters off a mountain path down south. The man in his early 80s had slipped and fallen down the steep banks of a poorly maintained road, sustaining injuries that prevented him from ever moving to a location where he could be seen or rescued. In all likelihood, it would have taken time for him to die. The newspapers all parroted the same vague reporting, citing the advanced stage of his decay and the partially skeletal condition of his remains. But none of them deigned to describe how exactly the corpse had reached this state in just 6 days. Japan's thick, green summer is brutal, with temperatures never really falling far below 30 degrees Celsius at night. Food spoils quickly. Full bin bags taken out before collection day swell with gases and the wriggling bodies of maggots. Even still, partially skeletal. I'd wondered whether a wild boar had torn up the thin elderly skin and eaten of his flesh, speeding up the corpse's putrefaction. What is this now that I'm smelling? It couldn't be a body. It could be a body. It could be the body of a boar or a cat or a bird, but somehow it smells bigger than those. It smells like the body of a big animal or a big human animal. It could be a monkey face frozen in death, with those huge teeth screaming silently. Anyway, I feel sick now. Drunk from disgusting putrid smell alone, and there's a feeling like smooth river stones in my stomach. Here, there's just me, a coin purse or a sack of marbles for the rancid, rotting Boar God. An offering, I suppose. Partially skeletal. What does that mean? What does it mean that I'm a coin purse? An offering for a partially skeletal boar with maggots falling out of its eye sockets? How the fuck does a Boar God become a Board of Education superintendent?